Hi all, Ben here from East West. Video 8 in the series on Python for finance for complete beginners and people just looking to start to dip their toes in. This will not turn you into a coding guru. What I'm hoping to do here is just to really lightly brush over some starting concepts so that when you do start to look at videos and start to learn off some real programmers, you will have some sort of idea about what's going on. So without further ado, let us, once again, as we have every video, we've started here inside our Python codes folder inside the utilities section, and we're going to start a new project. So we bring up yet another new Jupyter notebook. So I will go ahead and fill this out with this video's headings, etc. Okay, so today we're just going to have a look at how we sort of merge data together. To put it in Excel speak, how you would simply just basically cut one column out of one spreadsheet and paste it into another sheet or another spreadsheet itself. And but how do we do that in Pandas? Because we're going to need to do that at various stages. So what I've just done here is I've made some slight changes here. I've downloaded two different data frames here. So I've downloaded DJI for the Dow Jones, and I've also downloaded a data frame called GS for Goldman Sachs, everybody's favorite investment bank. So let's just go ahead now. What we need to do is we'll just quickly bring these up so we can see them. So that's the Dow, that's fine. All right, so they're all there. We've been through that. We know what all the go is there. But the important thing to note here is that these both have the same lengths and the same dates, so their indexes match, which is good for the concat function that we're going to use. So now what I'm going to do is I'll just cut both of these cells because I don't really want them. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to tidy up the data frames. Now what I had been doing previously is I'd been doing each step with a different cell, but what we can do just to make things a bit more compact, a bit more efficient, is we can actually just go ahead and put more than one action in each cell, which is something that you'll just naturally progress to doing. So let's what I really want to do is I just say my end goal here is I want to compare the changes on the day between the Dow Jones and Goldman Sachs. So that's what I'm going to aim to do here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I just want to bring in a close column. Sorry, I just want to bring in a change column. So we just want to have a look at the percentage change for the Dow. Now rather than run that cell, I'm just going to hit enter and it goes down into a new line. And then I'm just going to bring in a line to drop. I'm going to drop basically all the columns from the original data frame, and I'm only going to leave this percent change that I've created. Now, I could have actually just made a new data frame. Rather than dropping, I could have just made a new data frame called DJI2 and then just said the only thing in that data frame is the percent change, but I kind of want those dates, so I'm just sort of doing it a bit of a long way around here. But now that that's done, I can just put in one more line, DJI.head, like that. Now I can run this, and that brings up, I've got my date index and I've got change. Now, I can now go ahead and then just do exactly the same thing for the Goldman Sachs data frame. So I'll just go ahead and do that. So all I've done here is, I basically just completely copied that and just pasted it, and just everywhere it said DJI, I just changed it to GS. Okay, so now we've got the two data frames. Okay, they've got the same index, which is good. So all we really want to do now is we want to take, one of these change columns and add it into the other one. But the problem with doing that is that we would then have a data frame with three columns, date, then we'd have change and change. Now, obviously, because we're not dealing with a lot of data here, we could work it out pretty quickly which is which. But if we had a massive amount of data, like a massive amount of columns and they've all got the same heading, and it's going to cause a bit of problems. Plus, I'm pretty sure the system won't really like trying to merge two frames with the same heading. So what I'd suggest we do is actually just go ahead and, pardon the pun, but we will change the name of change, so to speak. So let's just go ahead and do that. So I'm just doing this because this is actually something else that's handy to know, because this is something you'll almost certainly have to do yourself. We want to just change the column name. So we say DJI for our Dow Jones data frame. Now we go DJI.rename, okay? And then we open up a bracket and then we say columns equals. Now we use, this one's a bit different. We use the squiggly bracket, which is above the square bracket. So you're going to have to hit shift and square bracket. Now the first thing we do, you'll see a lot of people, they'll put it in like this: old name, just as an example, old name, and then it's colon and then new name. So that we just say basically we want to take this column, which is the old name, and we want to make it this. So in our case, we would make this old name change, and then the new name we'll just make it DJI, so we know it's the Dow. Okay, now all we've got to do is go ahead and repeat this exact same step for Goldman's. You could just basically copy and paste. So we've just pasted that in like that. We can just run that cell, hopefully. Yep, and then if we just brought up the data frame, you can see now it's gone from change to DJI, so that's going to make life a little bit easier when we put it all together. Okay, so now what I'm going to actually do here, and remember I've said before, I'll say it again, many ways to skin the cat, especially in coding. You can do it 100 different ways, but this is just a way you can do it. So I'm going to actually make a new data frame here. I'm going to say total. That's my new data frame equals. Now this is where I'm going to use the PD for pandas .concat function. Okay, so what you do now is open a bracket, then open a square bracket. Now what do we want to concatenate? What do we want to put together? We want to put together the DJI data frame and the GS data frame, and we want those to be, we want to sort of put the columns next to each other. So we want to make that axis equals 1. Okay, because we're dealing with the columns. Because if we don't, let's just do the example very quickly. If we don't put that in and we just run this, okay, now if we bring up the actual data frame, you can see here it's just put all the Dow Jones stuff, and then once that's finished, it's gone back and then it started putting all the Goldman Sachs stuff. So that is obviously not what we want. We want to go axis equals 1. Now hopefully I don't have to clear this all out. I might. No, there, good. Now what we've got is on each day we've got the percentage change of the Dow and the percentage change of Goldman Sachs. Now I wouldn't recommend, I know I've done this step before, I wouldn't recommend doing this step when you're actually doing calculations on returns and stuff like that, which is something that's coming up in future videos when we start to get into building a simple system. But just for presentation's sake, I am just going to clean up the data, and I'm going to just do this. I'm just going to make all the, oh pardon me, I had the wrong names typed into here. I'd done a little test code and I'd typed the full names out and then realised that it's, anyway, I digress. So if we put now just this in, you can see now that we've got a little bit more. So you can see here, you know, the Dow was up on this day was up 0.68%, and on the same day the Goldman Sachs was up 3.3%. Okay, so you can see potentially how that may become handy. So the final thing we'll do today in this video is let's just sort the data out a bit. So this is just another thing we can do. So let's go sorting the data, because this is, you know, this is something you'll almost certainly do as well. So total, that's the, remember that's what we're working with, the total data frame, dot sort values. Okay, sort values. And now what do we want to sort? Well, let's sort it by the Dow Jones column. So we're going to go DJI. So this is exactly like, you know, like when you select a big section of Excel and you sort by one particular column and it reorders everything basis that column. This is just the same sort of thing. So DJI, and then we'll go ascending equals true. And remember the capital T so that true goes green. Actually, no, sorry. We'll go ascending equals false. Right? So what that means is it's going to bring up the biggest, when we run this, it'll bring up the largest daily gain for the Dow Jones first for the year. And then next to that, it will have the corresponding change in Goldman Sachs on that same day. So we can see here that on the 10th of November this year, the Dow Jones was up 3.695%. And on that same day, Goldman's was up 4.5%. You can see here the worst day of the year, the Dow was down 3.94%, Goldman's was down 4.142%. So I think you can leave that to your imagination, how you can see how you might start to grab all sorts of data and make all sorts of different comparisons from, you know, all sorts of different things, working out stock betas, stuff like that. This is just a very gentle introduction into how you might think about starting to do that. So I'll leave it there for this video. And thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video where we'll expand on a few more things. Bye for now.